Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the SBC TV Pubcast. I'm joined by Greg Mitchell again, and myself, Dan Mouncer, and unfortunately we're going to be talking about the self-destruction of Nottingham Forest. What on earth went wrong? Except for everything.
Yeah, I can't believe we're doing this, to be honest. It's Sunday night, we've just watched Swansea take a 1-0 lead against Brentford, haven't we? And it was just fucking mental. We've had so many nights where you thought it couldn't get any worse or any more ridiculous at Forest, and you can name them all, your Yeovils, Swansea previous games, Sheffield United, where you're thinking about Wembley or you're thinking about booking your place at whatever, and that just topped it for me.
I don't think I agree with the fact that it was worse than any other, because I think if you look at Sheffield United, we were 2-0 up. If you look at Yeovil, we were 2-0 up. At least this one was a bit like it was like a capitulation over time, wasn't it? It wasn't just the Stoke game, that was it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But it was the Swansea game as well. They were both 1-1 after 60 minutes. One bookie tweeted out that at 60 minutes at 1-1, from both to go 4-1, it was something like 10,000 to 1. Oh. It was like...
I think when you look back with hindsight, I think since the restart with COVID and stuff, or even look back at the last 10 games, what is it, 2 wins in 10 games? Mm-hmm. That's not playoff form, that is, I wouldn't say it's relegation form, but it's not very good form, is it? I mean, even the Bristol City game we won 1-0 at home with a silver free kick, we weren't convincing.
Yeah.
And I think as fans, you kind of sort of blinker out the... We're not playing very well. We were unlucky, we were lucky to concede at Derby. We were lucky to concede at Sheffield Wednesday. You're almost there. Barnsley hanging on. But realistically, we were just on a bit of a downward spiral, and I just think as far as fans, it's inevitable, isn't it?
But that was not that. It was inevitable that something would have gone in the playoffs. But even though quite a few people bet on us not making seventh. Even I knew that we were making the playoffs. Every team, Swansea never expected it. They were on holiday, Swansea, all the Swansea fans, they weren't planning to go to watch the game tonight or anything like that. No. It's just, I've never seen anything like it. And that's why you can't turn on the Sky Sports News at the minute, because they're still talking about how ridiculous it was. But as soon as it went 3-1, and I had it on iFollow and had Frey commentated, and it must have been horrible for him, and you just, even in his voice, he went, Swansea have scored. It was just like everyone was waiting for that. They weren't waiting for what was going on at our game.
I think at that point everybody knew what was going to happen. I think as soon as that red card happened for Reading, obviously when Figueiredo scored, everyone was, we're going to be okay now, it's 1-1. We played well first half as well, to be fair. I don't think we played badly.
Yeah, after the Barnsley game, that first half, was like, this is good. Even at 1-0 down, I thought, I'm not bothered about that.
As soon as that red card happened, I thought, oh crikey, we could be in trouble here. And then it just gradually got worse and worse, and I mean, I don't know what to say. Like,
should we spend the next 10 minutes dissecting and putting us through pain, or going on about what we need to do? That's the difference, because...
Yeah, well, probably what we need to do, but that might come later in the show. But yeah, I suppose, let's move on to then, where do we go from here? I mean, I assume you want to keep Ramucci as manager, or do you think he could already be gone and they're making plans for next season? For me personally, I think he should stay. Yeah. Because I think he's done a decent job this year, probably overachieved to an extent. And also, there's only 7 weeks to go until the new season.
Which is crazy.
If you bring somebody else in, you've got 7 weeks, but that's still a quick turnaround. You've got to know the players, you've got to learn tactics, pre-season friendlies, all that sort of stuff. I think keeping him in and giving him... he deserves an opportunity for next season, in my opinion.
I agree. I definitely agree. And I want him to stay, without a doubt. If he's not gone already, which I really hope he hasn't, but when you look at the way Marianakis has worked in previous places, in Olympiacos and with the O'Neill thing, managers are sacked and it doesn't seem to be announced until the other. So I'm not sure whether he's still here. If he is still here, then he's got to be given help. Like, those players are going to come back for pre-season in something ridiculous like 3 weeks. They've not had a break, they've not had time to get over this, just like we haven't. It's going to be the same manager, the same backroom staff, and a lot of the same players. Just, they're going to have their heads down. You don't suddenly get over that and go, oh, I can't wait to go.
Well, there's always a hangover, isn't there? I mean, even if you're losing the playoff final, we've seen it every single year. Any team that loses the playoff final in the Championship, there's a hangover to the next season. Forest needs to make sure that there isn't that hangover, B, the stability, I think, but also I think, reading on social media and stuff, a lot of people are saying that he's made mistakes, which he has. I think he has, and he needs to learn. He has to learn. But also, I think the recruitment in January, we had, when we beat Leeds down at City Ground, start of the year, it was looking so rosy. I mean, with a good January recruitment, I honestly think we could have pushed higher up than we were.
100%. And you had that amazing night against Leeds at home, and then we played Charlton, and for whatever reason, swapped 5 players.
Yeah.
It's like, we're resting players. What are we resting players for here? They weren't all injured, and that was a massive mistake. That was a huge error.
Yeah.
The mentality of the players in the 90th minute, that has to be looked at. And again, there's not enough time to. You can't suddenly say, right, we're going to get some what's the word, like psychological help or something. You can't say, right, we're going to do that, we'll have a couple of sessions next week and everything will be rosy. That's a long-term issue with this club.
It can't be a coincidence that,
of course it can't.
Because it's happened so many times.
How many even 45 minutes plus 9 or whatever it was, like that first, it's like the players think we've got a job done, or do they think it's happened so many times, 90th minute, shit, we need to sit back and wait for them to come at us because they're going to score.
Yeah.
And that whole mentality, whether we need, because I don't believe Watson's going to stay for a starter. I think he's openly said about still living in London.
Yeah.
That's not
it's
ideal.
Issue, isn't it?
When your captain, your playing captain is still living down London, that can't be great. He can't be the club captain, not being in Nottingham, in my opinion. If he goes, you've got to get a captain that's stronger than every single one of those players on the pitch. Like mentally stronger, that's so important. And we, at the minute, clearly, and not many people can disagree with that we haven't got that.
I think it'd be a massive loss, actually, Watson.
Yeah, it's always definitely. Well, I'm not slating Watson, I'm just saying.
No, I'm not saying you are, but I think he's come out from the wilderness, hasn't he? Completely. I mean, a lot of people, myself included, to be fair, wrote him off. He shouldn't be in the first team.
No,
playing the 4-4-2,
yeah.
he was pretty much useless, I thought. But playing the formation that Lamucci plays, and that sort of quarterback role, he drops into the back 4 almost, and everything comes through him. And I think if he was to go, that's a massive loss as well.
Yeah.
And like you said, I think you've got to replace that if you can in the summer. But obviously the new laws are coming as well with this
18 million. You can't do that with 7 weeks to go. Luckily, everyone's seen that as a negative online. Forest's wage at the minute is only like 27 million.
I thought it was 36, but...
Well, the one I saw, it was the internet, so whatever you see is the truth, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you see like Stoke and all that, it was like 90 million or something ridiculous. So we'd be in a good position for that. But next season, if that's the case, you're going to get like your Millwalls that are only 13 million, according to the one I saw. They're going to be like playing to a strength, because those players are fighting, and I don't know. It's
like, just get a betting company to pay all your wages.
Yeah, they're going to get screwed. They are going to get screwed over that, but that's another story.
Yeah,
They've got.
We won't touch on that.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know what the answers is. I hope Lamucci stays. If Lamucci doesn't stay, like we've touched upon, January transfers were bad. Looking back now, even though I love what's going on at the club now, in and out of the ground. I think it's great, but January wasn't good enough, clearly, because of the way that we fell apart. The Adoma thing to Cardiff and then getting him back like we did. I don't know what the decision there was, but that was unsettling for him. That gave Cardiff like that extra push to go, we need to make sure those fuckers don't beat us for trying to screw us over. And all these little things were mistakes that you wouldn't think is just Sabri. So for me, if Sabri goes, other things should change as well. You can't just have a free ride and say it's always the manager, because
it's not,
at our club it hasn't been, because previous regimes they sack managers, it doesn't work because we're still in this league and we shouldn't be in this league.
Yeah, I mean, it's been hit and miss, hasn't it, with transfers, because you look at the likes of Bryce Samba, fantastic side, arguably one of the best goalkeepers of the season, and certainly for us recent times goalkeeper wise.
Yeah. It's not
Sambaso, always injured, but
when
he's been fantastic.
Brilliant.
But then you look at the likes of Diakabi and others, and you just think, like you say, it can't just fall on the manager's head every time.
No.
And to be fair, he's only a head coach, isn't he?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we always forget that as well. Lamouchi's a head coach, the players are bought in, yes, he might have a say, but he doesn't do the transfers.
Yeah, I think that I can't remember the two guys' name, like the recruiter guys, but I think they'll be the ones that could find the bullet before Lamouchi. This is just thoughts though, isn't it? We haven't a clue, but that would be an easy one to say they got it wrong in January. Whoever those guys were, they got it wrong, and this summer is going to be different. And you'd hope again with like Marianakis that he's already got that in place. He's already doing that. The mental thing is we haven't even touched upon Carvalho. That is just like the guy is a pure talent when he's on the pitch. He has that football ability that you look at him and go, wow, that's such a great player when he does it. I heard a rumour, again it's all rumours, it's all that he didn't knock on the manager's door to say why he's not playing, and that's the reason he still wasn't playing, and you think that's crazy if so. Such a talent, or is it he's already signed a deal somewhere else? You could imagine if it is somewhere else it would be like Olympiacos and they don't want to get him, and then you think, is that right, that he could have made the difference for us? It was only 2 goals in the end that kept us out of the playoffs.
There must be something wrong with that, because what's it now, 3 different managers, and all 3 of them pretty much have tried him a little bit, decided against him, whatever. There must be something behind the scenes there, because like you say, he's got the quality, he's a fantastic player, but
our Portuguese prince just isn't.
But
then how are you going to get your money back unless we do sell him to someone like Olympiacos that will hopefully happily pay and a bit? I don't think the money will be there for them to. I think the money will be in your cash, my cash, and Worrell. As much as Worrell hasn't played well at the last couple of games, when he plays with Dawson and a strong head, he's brilliant. When he's just told and advised where to be, he's a superb defender. If he gets in the Prem with some quality defenders to lead him and guide him, he's going to be superb. And a lot of us will be looking back saying, yeah, I was wrong about him, like we were wrong about so many other players who leave our club and then go on to be in the Prem.
I just think, looking back at the last sort of 3 years, especially under Marianakis' reign, I think almost the plan, if you look at it the way it's going, might be wrong again, but it's like we have to sell at least one player, whether it be an Osborne or a Brereton or whoever, just one a season, just to keep things ticking over. Like I say, you look back when they took over, it's like, oh, you know, we're in intensive care, the club's in intensive care. So they've got to look at the grand scheme of things. It's going to be a difficult decision no matter what they do. I still think we'll lose one. We'll lose one of the top players because of that sale value.
And I never mind us losing a player if that's pumped back into the club, which it has been. And you look at your Brentford, they have a price for every single player, no matter how much they love him, how good he is. If he gets to that price, he's gone, because they know that money's reinvested. And I think that's the same with every championship club, but our fans seem to not see that, and I'm guilty of that so many times. And I think, okay, we might lose Carvalho, and a lot of people have seen that coming, but if we lose the cash, that's going to be gutting with such a short period, but it's also in a way understandable for me, because we need that income. This stupid financial fair play that just doesn't seem fair for any team. It's ridiculous, but it's the way it is, so we're going to have to sell players, and there's going to be Premier League teams. I look at like Villa would be looking at a Joe Lolly. They spent 140 million last season, it barely worked. They're going to be looking in the Championship and dipping in, and someone like Lolly, I'd love to go there, you could imagine. I'd hate it if he went, I'd be gutted. And you know, Matty Cash, there was talk of him to like Milan, weren't there?
Yeah, January,
Now it's like you saw a Sean Dyche in Hooters last week with Ian Woan, and the rumour is he's going to Burnley, but you could see it. You've got Osborne and Robbo now at Sheffield United playing week in, week out, and Robbo was like £500,000 for us and couldn't really play, and then he's suddenly in the Premier League.
Yeah. Speaking of cash, I mean, Do you think he's got a shout for Player of the Year this year?
Yes, definitely. I'd vote Bryce Samba myself, but of course Cash has, and he'll probably win it. And he's so good a player that if we're short in midfield, he'd be as good, if not better, in a midfield position. So he could play everywhere.
I agree. So following the game on Wednesday, we took to Twitter to try and get some of your reactions, and here's what some of you said.
Yeah.
Over to you, Greg.
We're allowed to swear, aren't we?
I think so.
Out.
Yeah.
So straight away, support for Lamucci from Nick W. Lee. Lamucci should stay. Some terrible tactics at times. Kind of agree with that. Plan B is lacking, but we've done more this season than for many years. Keep the key players and look at what we lack.
Is that a problem that Forest have got though, in a sense that the plan A has kind of worked this season to a point?
Yeah.
As soon as things start to go wrong, perhaps there isn't a plan B?
Fair play to Nick for being so, I can't think of the word, but like level-headed. An hour after watching that.
I'm not sure I
fair
could
play to him. Like, yeah, plan B hasn't worked. When we've had the key injuries, we've been fucked.
Well, they kind of went to back three against Barnsley, didn't they? I mean, they're right. I know people are sort of saying that we rested players against Barnsley. But I know for a fact that Lolley's suffering from shin splints, Cash was injured, and Bryce Samba had a hamstring injury. I don't think it was necessarily resting players. I think he almost had to pick a team with what he had.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I agree with that point that there needs to be a plan B, because plan A isn't always going to work, and you're going to have to change it up.
And now we've got the 5 sub rule that looks like it's staying next year. Plan B is massive.
Yeah.
Change half your outfield players. It's like huge.
Yeah, massive.
Like those fresh legs, that's going to be a massive thing next year. So you've got to have your bench that's as strong as your starting 11 to get the results. That's why Leeds are so good, to be honest. Trevor Paul Dunn. Oh, he's just put lost for words. Crying face.
Still how we're feeling now.
Yeah, there's a lot of just angry. Definitely should stay. Things to do in knots. Again, Robert Nettleship, gutted. Lamucci should stay. Clown Assassin. Sabri stays and we go again. 7th is a vast improvement on last season, which I agree with. You look at the season. In a few years, you go, that was a good season, 7th, from where we've been the last 20 years or whatever. But
and I agree with that. It was such a capitulation, wasn't it, that you kind of got to look at the bigger picture, haven't you, and say it is an improvement. But at the same time, if his remit from Marinakis and et al. Was top 6, especially when he signed his new contract a couple of weeks ago for 2 years, if that's his remit and he hasn't made it, surely they can wield the axe, can they not?
Yes. Yeah. You'd think as well with the new contract that he got just after lockdown, which I was delighted about, you'd hope they're not clever enough to put a top 6 clause in.
Yeah, this is not Team Forest we're talking about.
Absolutely ridiculous that we didn't make the top 6, so both parties surely would have said top 6 clause, and they'd have both gone, yeah, no problem.
I honestly
because obviously we're going to make it.
I honestly think at that point there is no way either party even contemplate not making the top 6.
And is it no way not put that in because we don't want to curse it?
I just don't think they would have even contemplated it.
Forest now going to pay him for 2 years.
Well, that's my worry.
To get sacked.
Another payoff for another manager.
His name's been cut out, but someone's put has to go. Many of our best players will also be gone anyway. But then Peter Rees responds with, "I'm not sure there will be much movement, to be honest. Cash possibly, Carvalho probably, and obviously the loans. Club in general aren't going to have much money to throw around this summer."
Which I think is a fair point, isn't it? Because you got such a short summer, in inverted commas. Yeah. I don't think there's going to be a massive amount of trading, really. I don't know, did you see the tweet from Dan Taylor from Athletic?
Oh, I read his article was superb.
Yeah.
It was a day after to write that, and he's such a good journalist, obviously, but it was hard to read, and I saw so many Forest fans saying, I can't read that yet, and I could understand it, but the worst thing we can do is feel sorry for ourselves and say, this always happens to us. But the way he wrote that was superb, and it almost saying to his lad, "I'm so sorry for making you watch this and getting you involved with it." And
I actually turned around to my daughter the other week and said, if you want to go and support somebody else, you can do.
My mate messaged me saying his 11-year-old daughter was in tears.
Yeah.
He was ready to rip some players' heads off.
You feel guilty as a parent for bringing your kids up for Spotting Forest, I tell you.
Yeah, but like we had when we first started watching them, one day they'll go to Wembley like every other club.
I was going to say, we know that child.
Clogger, NFFC, says he's got to go. Many of our best players will also be gone anyway. That's the worry though, isn't it? I don't think many of our best players will go because they know we can't just be another mid-table team. Marinakis ain't going to let that happen. He's not going to stay involved and stay like hungry for this success if there's no signs of it happening. So I don't believe we're going to be weakened at the start of the 2020-21 season.
Are we looking sort of almost, I won't say, I don't put words in your mouth or anything, but are we looking almost 50-50 as to, like, most people saying, oh yeah, we should definitely keep him, or most people saying he needs to go because he's got no plan B, he's messed up?
Yeah, well, this was an hour after the game, so I'm personally amazed that so many said he has to stay, and I'm glad I'm reading that. But now I think it's swayed to the, I don't know, 70% saying he's got to stay. We all know the football hasn't been great. It's not been the Forest way, as so many people say, but you know, when I speak to my dad, the Forest way when Cloughie was about, that was your 1-0 wins. That was sometimes your scrappy wins. You won how you got the result. It wasn't how you got the result. It was getting it. So I don't believe in this Forest way and playing on the floor and all that. Nobody wants to go and watch ugly football, but people want us to get out of this league eventually. And if the only way to do it is play a different way, then and the Lamucci way, that might be the way to do it.
But that's a good point as well, isn't it? That the Brian Clough era was based on a really strong defence. You know, you build from the back and you counter-attack. I mean, the times I went down to Wembley, more often than not, most of our goals came from the counter-attack.
Yeah.
So, if that's the Forest way, I think, if anything, Sabba's actually almost sort of incorporated that into the way he wants to play, really. And yeah, I know football's changed and it's a long time ago, you don't dwell on the past and all that sort of stuff, but you've got to build from the back. In this league, I mean, look at it like last game, you know, Brentford lost to Barnsley at home, didn't they?
Yeah.
The results in this league are just ridiculous sometimes, and I think being tight at the back especially is something to build on. I think going forwards, yes, I think Lamucci's understood that, and you know, he changed the dugout, didn't he, to be close to the defence second half and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
He understands that element of it. Perhaps he just needs to open his eyes a little bit in terms of the, you know, are we 1-0 up, go and kill a team off, or, you know, if we're chasing the game, you know, you're going to have to gamble a little bit. I just think his plan B needs to change if he is going to stay. But then again, you learn from your mistakes, don't you, at the end of the day? I mean, it's been a decent season. We can't complain massively. On a grand scale, you can, but
especially where we were. Fucking hell, it's like,
but, I mean,
we were there.
Look at the grand, you know, look at it from like a massive point of view, not the last couple of games.
From a massive point of view, what I'll say is, when we get promoted next season, everyone will go, thank fuck we didn't get promoted when none of us could go to Wembley.
Well, that's the
only thing.
Well, we actually said on the last episode, didn't we? Yeah. You asked me a question, I said, I prefer to go out the
yeah, I completely agree, so I know that sort of
from that point of view, yeah, perhaps I cursed it.
Well, I don't know. Yeah. One man who did manage to get Forest back to the promised land was Frank Clark. He will be at the venue on Thursday the 20th of August for another evening with event. The event itself is sold out, but for the first time ever you can watch the event live in the comfort of your own home for just £1.50, as South Bank City is streaming the event on pay-per-view for the first time. Visit southbankcity.co.uk for more details and to purchase your pay-per-view.
As you can imagine, with a complete capitulation from Nottingham Forest, we've had quite a bit of shit on social media the last few weeks. South Bank have had quite a few calls from Derby fans, but imagine our disbelief when former Nottingham Forest midfielder Chris Allen contacted us and started slating us. As you can tell from the photos, completely uncanny. It actually obviously turned out not to be the Chris Allen who used to play for Nottingham Forest, but a Derby fan called Chris Allen who was giving it the big un. Obviously very embarrassing this year, Greg, but as he says, we'll see you next season, so I'm sure we will, won't we?
Well, as long as they don't get the points deducted, but cancelled due to a lack of interest.
Spelled incorrectly, by the way.
Yeah, lovely bloke. But he works in a bar as well, so it'd be nice to find out which one that is. But no, it's all banter, isn't it? And we'll remember him, and we'll be sure to contact him next year. It's been over 1,000 days since they beat us now, so I don't care what's happened to us this season. Your lot are in big trouble with the Rooney thing and everything about it. So restore it, Chris. We've got it. It's on the record.
Up here. So more positive news for Nottinghamshire. Obviously Notts County in the playoffs. Cracking result against Barnet. I thought Callum Roberts was superb, by the way.
Yeah.
And they're at Wembley. Fantastic.
I watched it. I thought I wasn't going to watch any more football after Wednesday night, but I enjoyed it. I don't know whether that says more about watching Forest, but I thought they played some superb
Played some
football.
good stuff, yeah.
And you could tell they were the only team in it. And you know, touch wood for the county fans and for the city. I think they're got to be the favourites to win it at the weekend. So good luck to them. Genuinely mean that. I know not many Notts County fans would say the same about us, but we need you back in the league.
Definitely. And how important is it for Nottingham as a city to have certainly 2 football league clubs?
Yeah, I think there's less than 10 in England. 10 cities. You know, you have 2 professional football clubs. You're a big city. We need it. The city needs it. The pubs need it.
Yeah, you've obviously got Mansfield as well, to be fair, haven't you? So, obviously, ideally, you'd have Mansfield, Notts County, Forest and Premier League, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But it seems a long way off at the moment.
Yeah. I can't ever imagine that happening. That's never going to happen in a million. I mean, when I say to Nottingham, I mean from the city. Obviously, Mansfield, Nottinghamshire, they're always going to be in the league, but we need Notts County in there, we do.
We've touched on it previously in a separate Pubcast, but how gutting at the same time must it be for Notts County fans getting to Wembley as a non-league club, trying to get back into the Football League and not actually be able to go to Wembley and watch your team?
Yeah, I mean that was our biggest fear, wasn't it? But you've got to take the chance whilst it's there, because if they don't get it this year, there's no saying they'll get it in the next year, and then they're in that league for a long, long time because only 2 teams go up. So as gutting as it is for county fans, hopefully they'll pack the pubs out or they'll get in their own gardens and they'll watch it and they'll support them and they'll make it.
Yeah, get your table booked to South Bank City.
Yeah. Thank you very much for watching our 3rd episode of SBC TV. We're sorry it weren't a more joyous one, but we felt like we needed to do it because your views are important and we felt like we had a bit to get off our chest. So please make sure you like, subscribe and comment. Comment about anything you want to talk about. Next time there's going to be no football for a few weeks for Forest now. It's not just a Forest Pubcast, so we're going to be talking about all the other sports and some other teams over the next few weeks, so get involved.
Carl in New York still stings because we knew it was going to happen. Every single person watching this video knew what was going to happen. That's the worst part for me. 1 point from 2 games, that's all we needed. And we choked. Same old Forest. Just a fucking shambles.
Hi everyone, Shane Kennedy here from the Munster branch. Thoughts on the end of the season? Absolutely heartbreaking. It really was. I don't think I can remember ever feeling so bad after, and that's pretty, that's a high bar to set. I think our failure to strengthen in January was the reason why we didn't make the playoffs. I hope he keeps Sabarimucci. Here's to next season. Come on, you Reds.
Well, it's just unbelievable, really, wasn't it? It was. I think the writing was on the wall, a month ago, with decisions and teams who were playing. I don't know. I don't know where we go from here, Tom. It's. I think we need to strengthen. I think the Greeks have to look at the league next season and think that it's a weaker league than it was this season. And I seriously think it's there for the taking this year if we believe in ourselves.